AEW is teasing a massive return, plus WWE introducing the Tribal Chief Championship and a potential new faction in AEW. Let's talk about it. Welcome back to the Ango Show, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to kick things off with the Vendetta. You might have seen Taya Valkyrie and Deonna Purrazzo tag team on Rampage. This was a couple weeks ago. Maybe you don't watch Rampage, but if you didn't know, they're starting to tag team now. And they tag teamed under the name of the Vendetta. Now, Deonna Purrazzo has actually filed for the trademark, which is obviously for entertainment uses, exhibits, and performances by a professional wrestler and entertainer. This was also done through Michael E. Dawkins, who does all of the trademarks for pretty much everybody in wrestling. But there is something I want to talk about here, and it's the most important aspect of it all. Deonna Purrazzo, Taya Valkyrie, really, really talented people. Not really been given shine in AEW. Deonna Purrazzo was at the top of TNA's Knockouts division, comes to AEW, and she's just floating around, really not doing much. And it's actually really unfortunate to see. I know a lot of people seem to really hate when I point this out, but this is two signings of an example of where I think AEW dropped the ball. Now, the good news is you don't have to drop the ball. You can have a faction. And AEW does factions relatively well. When they started out as a company in 2019, pretty much since the inception of the company, they followed like that New Japan style where there are plenty of factions and you get faction warfare. So much so that I think it even inspired WWE to start introducing more factions, which is a great thing. I love factions. We should have a faction with Deonna, Taya, and Britt Baker. Now, for those who don't know, Britt Baker was recently pulled off of TV for personal reasons, but they were revisiting the storyline with her and Serena Deeb. Then obviously got pulled off of television. But the truth is, Britt Baker, Taya, and Deonna are all very close friends. Britt Baker is at the top of the women's division. Deonna and Taya have not really been treated as big stars in this company, which is really unfortunate. It really makes you wonder why AEW signed them when they're really not doing anything of prominence and relevance. And that's really what it comes down to. Being used once in a while doesn't mean anything, but if you're being used in a very good spot, that means everything. And Deonna, Taya, and Britt actually being a faction called the Vendetta would be a very intriguing way to start boosting and bolstering that women's division that they have, which is a very good women's division. However, there are a lot of heels in AEW's program. I mean, let's just call it what it is. That's the truth. I think there's too many heels in AEW. They need to start creating some baby faces. I would love to see the Vendetta become a top heel group in the women's division, but now let's utilize that as an opportunity to potentially create some top baby faces that can go against them. Willow Nightingale is one of the best baby faces that they have. You could start doing some programs there, and I would love to see this evolve into something bigger. All right, guys, WrestleVotes came out with the most ridiculous report I think I've ever seen. Okay, it's really not that ridiculous, but it is slightly ridiculous, and it's incredibly unnecessary. Sources indicate WWE has discussed introducing a Tribal Chief Championship into the storyline between Roman Reigns and Solo Sikoa, similar to the People's Championship that was presented to The Rock at WrestleMania earlier this year. Guys, I mean, look, I love WWE, I love AEW, I love all these wrestling companies, but when shit is shit, I'm gonna call it out, and this is shit. Roman Reigns and Solo Sikoa being the tribal chief, the real tribal chief, has everything to do with the Ula Fala, the necklace that they wear around their neck. And Roman Reigns has made it very clear in this storyline that he lost the bloodline, he lost his cousins, he lost his friends and family, and this and that. He lost his title, but most importantly, he lost his Ula Fala. So now when I read this report by WrestleVotes, I start to wonder, what would be the point of this? If you're the WWE, why would you do this? What would be the reason for this? And the truth is, WWE introducing this is all because I think they love the visual of Roman Reigns holding a championship belt around his shoulders or around his waist. And the reality is, Roman Reigns will not be a WWE World Champion in 2025 because Cody Rhodes is going to be doing other stories. And so I think this is the reason why WWE would want to do something like this. But I think, one, it is truly unnecessary. Two, it doesn't make any sense at all. And three, even though this wouldn't be a title belt that is contested everywhere, I just think it would be absolutely pointless because of the fact that Roman Reigns and Solo Sikoa, their whole storyline of being tribal chief has nothing to do with a title belt. So introducing a title belt when the story has been basically built around everything opposite of it, that's the issue. And again, WWE just loves the visuals of things, and I know they love the visual of Roman Reigns carrying a belt, but it's completely unnecessary. And I'm sorry, I'm not gonna sit here and act like this is a good idea. I just won't. I think there's nobody that's gonna be able to present a good reason as to why. I don't think anybody in the WWE could truly justify this. I don't think there's another content creator that could justify this. I just simply don't think it makes sense. It is completely unnecessary. And the final thing that I want to say, by the way, is that at some point Roman Reigns will have to retire. At some point he'll have to retire. So at some point, he is going to have to pass the torch to whoever it may be. And if maybe that person is Solo Sikoa years from now, when that time comes, the Ula Fala would be the greatest callback in that storyline. So something to pay attention to. Absolutely ridiculous. Pretty dumb. All right, AEW is teasing the return, and I think it's going to be Adam Copeland. A lot of people believe it's going to be Adam Copeland. It sounds like he could be back and ready to go. Guys, AEW aired a video package with FTR disgusted by the actions of the Death Riders. Now the FTR is coming out and saying, hey, we're not cleared. We're not going to be back, but we will be cleared in time for Fight for the Fallen, which is the first episode of Dynamite on AEW on Max. And this is taking place in North Carolina, which is their hometown. So obviously they're adding a lot of intrigue. They say they're not coming alone. Many people believe it is Adam Copeland who is returning to AEW, which is a massive, massive return. Adam Copeland, love this guy. I'm a massive fan of him. Was always a fan of him as Edge. I think in AEW, his run hasn't been hitting the best for me, but that's not anything to do with him or AEW. It's just the dynamics of the company. It has nothing to do with the company's booking of him. Obviously, he can't be Edge anymore. Like there's a lot that gets involved with it. But I'm a big fan of the guy. This is a massive return. They need him. Also, at the same time, too, Kenny Omega is coming back. So AEW obviously had been dealing with a fair share of injuries. It's not the best when you have that happening, especially when all of these top guys are out due to injury. Nobody's really grabbed that brass ring and like taking over. So that was obviously a little problematic, but they definitely need Adam Copeland on TV. What this leads to is Adam Copeland and FTR going into a feud with the Death Riders. I don't know if that's something that intrigues me, but I'm going to be willing to be patient and wait and see how it comes out, because obviously that's going to be relatively important. So you guys can let me know what you think in the comment section down below. Ladies and gentlemen, that is the Ango Show.